What is going on, folks? I am Goat. Welcome back to Warframe. Hi. So, we're back into the returning player guide, and this is a very, very loose guide. Okay, I mean, like, this is very much subjective to my own stuff, but there's also some truth to what goes on in the game. Okay, so with robotics and companions has come some very, very interesting shit, specifically bond mods. You get them from Sun, from Master T's and and from, I think, the business? If I remember correctly? Bond mods are specifically boosted mods because companions don't permadie anymore. That is a huge buff. Companions do not permadie anymore. They recover after 60 seconds. There are some bond mods that, duplicate the companion to give it more function. There are some bond, basically make like multiple ghost forms. Some that shorten the cooldown times on top of like having, prime animal instinct or prime, I forget what it is. There's one of the mods that just shortens the overall function of it anyway. But I'd like to cover what I find to be the best companions or robotics. Okay? And there is reason behind this. Okay? So, Death Cube. For any frame that has energy economy problems, if you have Energy Generator, which is a Cephalon Samaris only mod, but if you have Energy Generator and you have Synth Deconstruct, which is a bounty mod that you can get from doing Fortuna bounties, you are going to have one hell of a good time if you have either Equilibrium Archon shards, or if you have Equilibrium on your frame, because you're going to be constantly getting energy and health orb drops that will help you keep your energy economy up. Plus, Death Cube is an attack sentinel, so that it just wants to fucking shoot at everything. Preferably, I would highly, highly recommend running the Artax because of a new mod called Shivering Contagion. Artax is a pure cold weapon, and Shivering Contagion spreads the cold cooties about and helps slow a whole group of enemies down. Turns them all into popsicles. So, Death Cube is a great utility. Great utility robotic to have. Helios, in general, for scanning. So, if you're trying to get codex scans done, enemy scans, the whole shebang, Helios is just the way to go. Disarm the damn thing, though, because the Deconstructor or the Deconstructor Prime is really kind of lackluster because it does all three primary physical elements with each component that it rips off of itself to throw at the enemy. So basically it tears its own face off and throws itself at enemies. So it's kind of like an octopus. It's gonna rip the dick off and throw it at the female and say, go fuck yourself. Just saying. Carrier is a great sentinel to run if you're looting, because you can get the looter mod from Cephalon Samaris and it busts crates open within, I think it's 15 meters. It's a good time. Another absolutely epic sentinel to run is Dorija. Now this one is for any of the new galvanized mods or anything that you need to help spread statuses about, because this thing is a base electric attack sentinel that you can help spread up to 3 or 4 different types of damage from this son of a bitch and help stack damage on kills to help you get boosted output damage for your weapons. So it's, again, great utility, but it also stuns the shit out of enemies and really helps you kind of fight them off. Nautilus is amazingly good because it keeps you from having to use Helminth for grouping abilities. Because Nautilus has a preset mod that just yoinks enemies into you right in front of you, and you can just blast the bejesus out of them, and it's a good time. Worm Prime is just one of those obvious functional things that really is great survivability. And then for the occasional use of Oxalis. Now, Oxalis is an interesting son of a bitch because you don't need Luminous Dye anymore for fishing as long as you have Oxalis equipped with one of its mods. But it also scans fish too, so it's a good time. It scans like plants and shit as well, as a mod called Botanist. So yeah, it's a really good time. But then you also have the other function. MOAs are kind of just MOAs. It's how you build those motherfuckers, and they're just kind of there, okay? I mean, like, I'm not saying MOAs are bad, but MOAs are just kind of okay. Shade, I have always found to be very inconsistent. Taxon is just like your first Sentinel. It's Taxon's whatever. But Shade and Shade Prime, Shade Prime and Prisma Shade, those are all just kind of, in my opinion, highly inconsistent. Jin has kind of been replaced by the Panzer Vulpaphyllum. We'll get into that one once we go over to actual companions. You know, and if you're not running Carrier Prime, you can obviously run Carrier, perfectly fine. Yeah, so, but the hounds have their own functions. Specifically, the hound that you get from a Sister of Parvos, because that's how you get them, and you get them for free, just like you would get a Kuva weapon. Well, you get the same kind of thing from a sister, is that you get the sister plus her dog. So, you're kind of being that ultimate asshole. Hey, I want your gun, and I'm taking your little dog, too. But the hounds have their own very specific precept functions. One of them specifically steals whatever the hell, in a certain time frame. If an Eximus gets near the motherfucker, it will steal the powers of that Eximus. Another one will stomp and basically disarm enemies. And then another one basically creates kind of like a big shield. So they can be a little bit distracting at times, but they can also have some pretty damn good function too. So, and as long as you have the hounds, you can interchange what precept mods that you put on these motherfuckers. So they're audit mods and things like that. You know, so the hounds do have function. The problem is that all of their weapons are melee weapons. So that it's kind of a mixed bag of good and bad. They're not really going to do a lot of damage, but you're really using the hound for more of what the hound's modded for, not really its weapon. So it's kind of whatever. Just my personal opinion, though. Personally, Death Cube, really good. Dorija, really good. Nautilus, really good. Utility function, you know, or looting function, you've got Helios, you've got Carrier, Oxalis. Those are three really good other function type Sentinels, but like great utility and status spreading, and then generally here I'm going to group a motherfucker without actually having to put a grouping ability on my, you know, on my frame. As far as companions go, now I may sound a little biased on this, okay? Take away the Vizier Predicite and the Seneca Kubro, because honestly those were a long time ago. Those were like 2.5 years ago. Easily 2.5 years ago. Because, like, my Sunika was the only animal I had for a while, and its name was Biatch. It just ran around and barked and perma-died every fucking mission, because Kubros are just stupid. Until the AI or UI or whatever the classification is for the personality traits of said attack animals gets modified to where they're not so dumb, Kubros are kind of useless. Not to say that they don't have function, but they are kind of stupid, as are Predicites. So that leaves you going back to Kavats and Vulpaphyllus. And hands down, the three most handy Vulpaphyllus or Kavats are hands down for attack function, either the Panzer Vulpaphyllus or the Adarza Kavat. Preferably the Panzer Vulpaphyllus, and the reason being is because it truly never dies. Even when it's dead, it just floats above you like a weird worm and still attacks people. To where when the Adarza is dead, it's dead until you either revive it or it revives itself. If you mod it properly, you can melee and give your Adarza Overguard and then let it boost the shit out of you. Overguard does chip away, so you do have to keep a close eye on that. But the Adarza can give you some extremely powerful damage output and casual play. If you're going towards level cap, do not take a fucking Adarza Vulpaphyllus or Adarza Kavat, because it will just fucking constantly die and annoy the shit out of you. The other one is the Smida, and it specifically comes down to the function of this fucker gives you the ability of basically quintupling drops at times. Depending on if you already have, you know, like a resource booster on top of this thing triggering at just a perfect fucking time, but there is a set of circumstances that comes to it. But in my personal opinion, the three best ones are absolutely the Panzer Volpophyla, the Smida Kavat, and the Adarza Kavat. Just putting that out there. Just saying. There's really kind of just, you know, no wrong way to go about it, because whatever you find to be good is good. But understand this. If you're running solo, it doesn't matter what companion you're running, okay? It really doesn't. You just want something to help you, and that something to help you, I guarantee you, you will want a Panzer Volpophyla. It is the rare Volpa that you have to go hunt, because you just don't see them very often out on the Cambion Drift, so actually tracking them is really kind of the better option, because you're guaranteed to at least get one to spawn. But if you're in a squad, and you have a companion that can go down and be revived, you're going to irritate people if you're playing higher level content, especially, because they're going to think a player's down, and they're going to go try to revive the damn thing, and then get to it and be like, well, fuck, and then usually they end up getting shot in the ass while they're trying to help your companion. So just understand, if people start chewing you out in the middle of a fucking chat and being like, bro, why in the fuck do you have that animal equipped? That's why. They're trying to be... Sorry, this isn't the pity card, but my brother dies and I'm averaging like 3 hours a night of sleep, so it is what it is. It's like 3:04 in the morning. Can't sleep. So, yeah, so if you get, you know, chewed out about, you know, by somebody in a squad, in a pub squad or whatever, that you're trying to run higher level content, and they're just like, why do you have this equipped? That's 100% why, because they're trying to be a helpful teammate and squad mate, and they're trying to come and revive people they think are down, then they get there and it's a fucking cat or a dog. It is annoying. So, I don't know how many more of these videos are necessary, but we are going to go over at least some mods, okay? So in the next video, we're definitely going to go over some mods. All right, so folks, thanks very much for watching. As always, we'll catch you in the next one. All right.